Hello, Para here from the ParadoxBrothers. Today I'm going to be doing a video that's a little bit different. I'm going to be discussing some cards I think are potentially good side decks for the current meta. So let's get right into it. Bottomless Trample I think is a very good card against Warriors. It's very good against Breaker. It's very good against Chaos Warriors in general because they you don't really need a lot of chainable traps. They don't really play Regeki Break because they typically don't have a hand. So it's usually safe to set this. If it gets Heavy Storm or Mystical Space Typhoon, oh well, that's just the name of the game. But it can be very good, and it can definitely stop their momentum, which they desperately need to succeed. Royal Decree, obviously it's very good against Burn, very good against Chaos Warrior. It can potentially be good against just really any deck that depends upon traps. Lots of people will probably start main decking this here soon since Championship just passed, and there was a player who did really well main decking that. Fake Trap, very good against any, very good for Burn, especially game 2 when they realize you're playing Burn. If you're on like Dueling Book or something. So if you're a Burn player, you should probably run at least one of these in there. Can definitely save you. Compulse, not good against Warrior, but very good against Chaos or anything that's going to get momentum from reoccurring their effects of their monsters. So can definitely win games. Good for aggressive decks, for being in aggressive decks. Solemn Judgment, good for obvious reasons, can negate lots of things. Not as good in certain situations, especially at 3, because there are lots of times you would rather just have a Magic Drain, Magic Jammer, or something like that. But depending upon the situation, this can be one of the best cards in the game or one of the worst cards in the game. Magic Drain. Magic Drain is a very good card. You discard, you activate it and negate a spell. If your opponent discards a spell from their hand, they can negate this card. Good against Warriors. Any deck that wants to set their entire hand and they probably don't have much in their hand to use. Maybe not as good against Chaos, but debatably could still be good against it. You make them discard a spell, it's still a pretty good deal. Whoops, another Solemn Judgment there, sorry. Death Tornado. Death Tornado is good against burn decks, good against back row decks like Chaos Warrior. It's very good and almost a staple, I would say, in like really aggressive decks, in my opinion. Mind Crush, good for disrupting Chaos players who like to reoccur their spells or anything from the grave, and or just in general. It works in conjunction with Compulse or Phoenix Wing Wind Blast if you want to, say for example, you want to bounce a breaker, you want to bounce a BLS back to their hand because you don't want to destroy them and give them the ability to premature or something like that. You can send it back to the hand, discard it from their hand this way, and then it's not properly summoned, so they can't really get it back, and almost no one plays from Warrior Returning Alive, so it won't be a problem. Some Chaos decks, especially Chaos Warrior decks, every once in a while will only run one BLS, and it's kind of their, not their end game always, but you get rid of their BLS, you'll be doing pretty well. So that's it for all the traps I wanted to talk about. King Tiger, Wengu, was a very used card back a few years ago. Then Chaos Warrior became popular. This became less popular because Chaos Warrior generally doesn't run a monster that's less than 1800 attack. Blight Knight, but generally they're setting their hand, so he's 2000. As a result, he became less popular. Also, Goat Control was less popular during this time, but Goat Control is kind of coming back. Also, there's a lot of other tokens that you want to destroy, like Ojama tokens and things like that. And as far as Chaos Warrior is concerned, there are many ways to mitigate that issue with battle traps or even spells that can, like Enemy Controller, Book of Moon, things like that can send them to defense mode, and he can run over them. Also works very well with Light of Intervention, especially now that Chaos Turbo is becoming so popular. And Light of Intervention means that nobody can set monsters, essentially. They have to summon in face-up attack or face-up defense, and instantly they'll get destroyed if they're like a Magician of Faith or anything under 1400 attack. So it's a very useful card for side decking, and I think he'll probably be mandatory in your side deck against Burn, especially since Burn did so well recently in the Championship tournament. Sasuke Samurai is just like Mystic Swordsman level 2, so this one's an obvious one. I don't have a Mystic Swordsman level 2, and I also think this looks a lot cooler, so. Jowgen, a lot of people know about this. very good against Reasoning Gate decks. When he's face up on the field, neither player can special summon monsters. You can also randomly discard one card from your hand to destroy all special summon monsters, so you can blow up all tokens, all fusion monsters, everything, so he can out a lot of cards. If you also run Shining Angel, he's special summonable through that. He will destroy himself if you use his effect, but I mean, you really only need to use his effect once to board wipe, and you'll probably be in a pretty good winning position. Grandmaster Sasuke, good for Chaos Flip or Chaos Turbo. Gravekeeper Spies, things like that, he gets rid of pretty easily. Also searchable through reinforcements. Geico, good for Chaos matchups. Mask of Darkness is a very good card against decks that want to play the long game. So if you feel like you're playing against Burn or Chaos Turbo or something like that, even though it's called Chaos Turbo, you still end up playing for a while. They just kind of turbo through half their deck, and you play for a while, and then eventually they get their win condition, and then they win. But if you need to recycle something to disrupt that, you can certainly do that, and then just keep flipping him face down if you have Tsukiyomi or Boker Moons. Also, he's a pretty good attack and goes into Gravity Bind. Dark Geroid, he's special summonable through Mystic Tomato. When he's summoned in any sort of way, he lowers the attack of any monster on the field by 800 points, which is really useful against aggressive decks. Cyberstein, he's good because you can, you're playing against somebody that his win condition is to get off a certain combo. You can obviously summon a plethora of fusion monsters that can disrupt that. Morphing Jar is very good, especially mid to late game, even against Chaos Turbo players, because they may have 6 cards in their hand, and more than likely, if they've gone through half their deck, they probably have their win condition set up, like I said before, so he can make them ditch their whole hand and put them in a bad position. Chiron the Mage, very good against Warriors. Anyone that has not really very many chainable traps that they set in the back row, also very good against Burn. You discard one card from your hand, or one spell from your hand rather, and you destroy one spell or trap on the field, regardless if it's face down or face up. So, very useful for that. Enraged Battle Axe, very good against Goats, very good against Chaos Turbo because their life points are important in this game, and they do use Solemn Judgments often, so they end up having their life quite often, and he can really very easily just win the game just by attacking a face down Magician of Faith or something like that. Zero Priest, very good against Goat Control or Recruiter decks, which are not as common. Book of Moon, very good against really all sorts of situations, but one particular situation I want to talk about that a lot of people don't think about is I've played against a few Jaugen Spiritualist last turn decks, kind of not a very fun deck to play against, but if you have this in your hand, even if you draw it on your turn and they play last turn, you can Book a Moon, Jaugen, and it'll destroy everything, and last turn's effect will truly go off, and if they have a deck that's set up like that, they almost never have an actual... The last time I played against somebody that used that on Dueling Book, they didn't even know what the card actually did. They just knew that they won if they had Jaugen and that out, and they never even read the rest of the cards. So when I played this to out them, they had to read the card, and then of course, they quit and they left. Nobleman of Extermination, very good against back row decks, Chaos, Solemn Judgment particularly, this card just annihilates. They either have to drain half their life or have to lose all their Solemns, which is often the way they control the game state. Yeah, very good in aggressive decks, and decks that use World Decree. Enemy Controller, very good against any aggressive deck, especially with King Tiger. As I said before, he might get ran over by Warriors or something. Usually if you're playing against Warriors, you have a King Tiger deck, you'll probably side out King Tiger for something stronger, because he doesn't really do anything in that matchup anyway. But this can be very useful nonetheless. Also make a Goat go in attack mode and run over it and attack for game. Mind Control, good against flip monsters, also good to take Chaos monsters and make them banish themselves, or Tribe Infecting Virus, or so forth and so on. And finally, Soul Release. Soul Release is a very old card, a very useful card against any kind of Chaos deck. I think really good at 1, because it doesn't take up much space in your side deck or in your main deck, wherever you want to put it. Chaos is so common, you could probably put it in the main deck and be fine, just side it out if you feel like they're not playing anything Chaos. But getting this mid game or late game can completely win you the game, really, unless they have Dimension Fusion, and then that's a whole nother deal entirely, but that's not as common. Because usually 7 lights is what people will run, 7 or less, usually not more than that. This takes out 5 cards. If you can get 5 lights or whatever they have in the graveyard at the time, you can completely mess up what they're doing. And you may find you use this and they end up ditching their Chaos Monsters for Regeki break cost and stuff like that. So then you know you're in a winning position at that point. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I'll make more videos like this in the future. This is just something I pulled up from my inventory of cards and just was looking through because I wanted to make this video. I'll go into more depth about certain strategies and meta calls and things like that in the future. Also, we'll have more deck profiles in the future as well, and deck playthroughs. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And let us know if you would like to see something in particular, or have any questions, or if you feel like there's a better way, or not better way rather, but additional cards that you think are worth considering for side decks, or possibly even main decks in the description below. So, all right, thank you very much. Have a good day.